You know who I am?
Anything you say. Anything you say.
It's official.
You know who I am?
Anything you say. Anything you say.
It's official.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Thomas back again with another rendition of Truth Be Told. Now, what's going on in the news this week is the big thing I saw was Pam Bondi, Cash Patel, and Dan Bongino. They came out and said there's nothing with the Epstein files. It's all BS. He pretty much unalived himself, and there's no list, so there's nothing to pursue. Like, all three of these motherfuckers just recently was all like, yeah, there's a list, we've got it on the desk, we're going to be checking it over, blah blah blah, and we'll be releasing it soon. They also were stating that they didn't buy the whole scenario of him unaliving himself. There was just too much evidence to prove that didn't happen, that he was murdered. Now all of a sudden they've all flipped the script, all three of them. Ain't nothing going on now. Look the other way. Somebody got to him, or paid them off or something. They've been compromised. There's no doubt in my mind that that's happened. That's my opinion. You may think differently. You may think, they're completely right, I'll believe them, blah blah blah. I'm sorry, I don't believe it. I think they're lying out their ass. There are some people on that list that are extremely wealthy and very powerful, and I guarantee you they don't want that list coming out. So that's my guess. I don't blame Trump. Trump appointed them because he thought they were going to do the right thing. Apparently not. The deep state got to him. Bill and George Soros, probably on that list, got to him. People like them. Certain politicians in our government, they don't want that list coming out. And they can't sit there and say there's no list, because they literally said they saw the list and that they were getting ready to put it out. So they're lying. But anyways, that's my opinion on that. I think it's all BS. I think you got some rich, powerful motherfuckers who are running the show on all kinds of crap in the government. And they do some shady shit, and nothing's ever going to be done to them because they're rich and powerful. They have that influence. Like, they're above the law. And nobody's supposed to be above the law, right? Bullshit. Them fucking Democrats. Swear. Anyways, that's my opinion on what I saw this past week, which I found to be a bunch of BS. Let's get on to move on to what I really want to talk to you about this week. So, as I've said before, even if you don't watch the channel regularly and you've only seen a couple of videos, or you don't watch it at all, it only takes 2 seconds to hit that subscribe button. It doesn't affect you or your channel whatsoever. It just helps this channel grow. So please subscribe. Also, I have another channel. It's called Easy Does It. The link is in the About section. Check it out if you like gaming vlogs and reviews and reactions to other YouTube channels. Okay. Again, subscribe. So, I've told you I've got several shows and stuff backed up. I need to get reviewed and on YouTube. One of these shows was it was like the late 80s. It came out. It only did one season. It was a sci-fi show called Hard Time on Planet Earth. Now it starred Martin Rowe, the guy you probably know him from like the Karate Kid. He played the bad guy, and he reprised his role in the series Cobra Kai. He's not a really super well-known actor, but he's been in quite a few things. He was never really huge. Everyone just kind of recognized him. Anyways, you know, he's like that henchman that everyone recognizes but don't know the name. Anyways, he plays this alien who was in the military. And he was designed to kill. That's his objective, is to protect and kill for this particular alien race. Well, once all the wars were over, they deemed him still too violent to keep around. So they basically like, well, we don't want to deal with your ass, so we're sending you to Earth because we think you're too violent and you may cause trouble. We think you already have, you know. So they send his ass to Earth, and then their sentence isn't like a couple of years or something. They're like, no, you got to be there like 20 some odd fucking years or better. You know, a long ass fucking time. Well, they send this little robot or whatever. It's like a giant eyeball. They call it Control or whatever, and he's supposed to monitor his progress into becoming less violent so he could re-enter this planet's society. So he's constantly helping people, you know, because, you know, he's got alien powers, of course. You know, he's stronger, faster. I'm not really sure smarter. I mean, scientifically, he's smarter. You know, their science is far more advanced. But when it comes to, you know, Earth's social norms or something, he's kind of clueless and he's kind of dumb. Because, you know, he's not from Earth. Anyways, yeah, he goes around helping people and shit with his alien abilities. And there were a couple episodes where he ran across some people from his home world or whatever. But like I said, I only had one season. But it was a decent show. I liked it. Now, the graphics for like Control or whatever, the little robot, I mean, it's like one of the first times they tried using CGI, and it wasn't really that good. It was bad CGI, but you know, you got the gist. It was okay for what it was back then. They could have done better, but I'm pretty sure that they only had a limited budget. And I bet that just the CGI of that damn little robot probably cost them a lot of money to do, honestly, back then. Um, that's probably why they didn't continue with the show. Because from my understanding, the ratings and stuff was really good. But I think it just cost too much damn money, and they didn't want to keep doing it. I can't remember if it was CBS or ABC that was running this show, but I think they just said, no, it's too much money. We're going to drop it. They should have done more. I thought it was a pretty decent show. If you're into sci-fi and you like, good sci-fi shows like that, definitely, I highly recommend giving it at least a one-time watch. It's only one season, like 13 episodes or something like that. So, 2 thumbs up. This show was great. I loved it. And Martin Coe, yeah, he's a decent actor. Anyways, hey, I didn't realize how big he used to be. He used to be like, buff-wise, he was really buff back then. Big dude. Alright, let's get on to your B-movie reviews. Okay, movie holics. This week is Sci-Fi Week. We're doing a couple older films from the early 80s. The first one is called Galaxy of Terror. And it was done in 1981. And it made about $4 million at the box office. I mean, it did okay, but it wasn't really that great. This is a Roger Corman classic. If you don't know who Roger Corman is, you're living under a rock. When it comes to cinema. It stars Edward Albert and Aaron Moran. But you had other big names in here that was before they were actually huge stars. Some of them. Like you had young Robert Englund in this. Basically, it's kind of hard to explain. There's this guy called the Master, and he's fucking like over this planet or some shit, and he's got all these weird powers or some crap. He runs this planet. He likes playing games. But he's been around and running this planet for like thousands of years or something like that, and he's just tired. He's ready to die and move on and let somebody else take the position. So he decides instead of there's some natural way that someone becomes the master, but he doesn't want to do the natural way. He wants somebody to kill him. so he can move on and somebody could take his place. So he gathers together a group of people. They are basically like the contestants. He forms a crew on a spaceship to do some sort of rescue mission. They think they're going on a rescue mission. And he sets it up in this ancient temple is what makes him the master, or how he became the master. This ancient temple, he describes it as like a giant toy box where your greatest fears become your greatest enemy, and you got to overcome them to become the master. You got to overcome your emotions, not just fear, but that's the big one. The toy box uses fear to kill. If you can't face your fear and overcome it, it's going to kill you. Now, he pretty much wipes out the entire crew except for two, Robert Englund and the main guy, Edward Albert's character. I can't remember what his character's name was. But anyways, he wipes them all out except for them two. What's funny though is Robert Englund actually overcame his fear. His character does. But he's not the one to become the master. It's the other guy.
You know who I am?
And he really didn't overcome any fears, really. He just, he fought like some zombie-like creatures that were like his crew. And then he fought a couple of things that the crew fought, their fears. But he really didn't, I don't know. And there's one, towards the end where he's about to become the master, he's like doing these jumps and then fighting, and then he'll jump again. He'll start fighting. Like, it's crazy, seeing him do this like little loop-de-loop thing to fucking jump. It was just, he did it like 4 times. I'm just like laughing because I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. But anyways, he eventually kills him and he becomes the master. And then he says, well, if I don't want to be the master, he says, too bad, you're the master. You can't get out of it, blah, blah, blah. You're just, it's just the way it is. You were chosen, blah, 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 blah. So now he's the master. He don't want to be the master, but he's forced to be the master. That's the end of the movie. I don't even show you what happened to Robert Englund's character. But anyways, it was okay for what it was. A little bit cheesy here and there, but it was 80s cheese. That's the good cheese. Anything after the 90s pretty much became really bad cheese. Yeah, it's okay for a decent one-time watch. It is a Roger Corman classic. Check it out if you want. I highly recommend it because James Cameron did all the, the special effects and the set designs and all that shit before he became famous for being James Cameron. So check it out. I give it 2 thumbs up. It wasn't a bad movie. It was just, the story was kind of strange. Like the whole becoming the master thing wasn't really explained very well. Anyways, moving on to the next one. The next one was done in 1979. I know it's not quite 80s, but it was right on the edge. There's no box office. I couldn't find any box office numbers for this one. I think it might have been a TV movie. I don't know. Anyway, it's called The Shape of Things to Come. Now this is based off of H.G. Wells' novel. So it's old sci-fi. It starred Jack Palance and Carol Lindley. I don't know who she is, but anyways, good looking broad though for a blonde with blue eyes. But anyways, so was the other chick. The other chick wasn't bad looking either. I don't know, the 70s chicks, I don't know, they looked good all the time. I don't know why. They just did. But anyways, Jack Palance is a legend, you know, especially when it comes to B movies. I mean, he did A movies too, A-list movies too, but he did quite a lot of B movies back in the day. Plus, he was big in the Western. He was a Western star or some shit, I think. But anyways,
Anything you say. Anything you
this movie is based on humans have effed up the earth really bad. They had something called the Robot Wars, and it really decimated the earth, supposedly. Although, when they visit Earth in this movie, it doesn't look decimated to me. It's all green and lush and crap, so I'm whatever. But anyway, the remaining Earthlings, after so many hundreds of years or whatever, they built a base on the moon, like a biodome type of shit, and they've been living there. They call it, New Washington, I think it was. Don't quote me. I can't. I think it was New Washington. I may be wrong, but I think that's what it was called. That's the city they called it on the moon. Now, Jack Palance runs an outpost called Delta 3, where the humans have found an abundance of some type of medicine that like cures just about everything, from cancer to radiation and all kinds of other shit. So they've been mining this place for a while. He sends deliveries to New Washington, but he wasn't actually the one running the place. He committed a coup and took over Delta 3 with some robots or whatever, reprogrammed so that they would only obey his command. These fat little weird looking robots. At the very beginning of the movie, he sends one of these, but it wasn't a black one, it was a silver one. He sends a robot piloted ship, cargo ship, and attacks New Washington. Now, what's funny is they didn't have any defense. They were all like, "Oh, we need to do this and this and this, or it's gonna hit New Washington." Blah 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 blah, and nothing happens. So they didn't have any like weapons or anything to just one fucking ship. Like seriously. Anyway, it gets through, and they decide. There's a son and daughter who are running the place for the governor and some doctor. I don't know. I can't remember his name. Anyways, the doctor and his son, and then the daughter of the governor or senator or whatever you want to call it, runs New Washington. They decide they're going to go to Delta 3 and stop Jack Palance, because he called in and told him that he's now in charge, and he expects everyone in New Washington to bow down and call him emperor and do as he tells them. He's the new king of the universe, blah blah blah, whatever. So they're going to go stop him. They take off in a spaceship. Halfway there, they stop in Earth. Like I said, it doesn't look devastated. They find some radioactive kids, and tell them to chill out. They'll be back for them. But they never come back for them. I mean, I was just like, what the fuck? Why'd you even put this shit in here? This makes no sense. Them stopping on Earth made no sense whatsoever. Anyways, they make it to Delta 3 through some type of time warp or bubble or some shit they accidentally run across, and it sends them to Delta 3 way faster than they expected. They expected it'd take them a few days to get there. It only took them like a few hours. Anyways, when they show up at Delta 3, there's already a revolt going on from the old governor, which is played by Carol Lindley, the blonde. And she talks like she's a valley girl. Like they're all like asking her what should they do, blah blah blah. I don't know. I think we should just go that way. You know, I'm just like, what the fuck? She's supposed to be the governor, yet she's talking like... She was acting like one of them, you know, the broad from the 1920s who's, you know, the side piece for the mobster boss, you know, that kind of... That's the way she acted. I was like, what the fuck? There's even a scene where there's one of them robots. He's patrolling an area that looks like a old factory or some shit, like boiling factory. And she's running around through there, and she's wearing these boots with heels that are just going clop, 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 like the motherfucker. And she's supposed to be sneaking around. And I'm like that motherfucker can't hear her from a mile away. It's so dumb. But anyways, yeah. So that's going on. And when they show up, I thought there were lasers and shit in this. No, they're taking these fucking medieval weapons like glaives and shit, spears and crap, flails. And they're like hitting these robots and sparks are shooting off of them. That's literally it. There's no lasers. I thought there was, but apparently not. Anyways, the fighting was atrocious. It was really silly. Eventually, though, everyone pretty much gets wiped out because they were all fighting, and most of them all die, including the robots. Jack Palance dies at the very end. Like he goes down with the ship. The place is blowing up. The place he's at. So they all take off. There's only like 3 of them left. The governor, the blonde, and then the girl and the son. The doctor dies. And the robot that she reprogrammed. They did this whole scene where she reprograms the robot that crashed into New Washington at the very beginning of the movie. And they started calling it Sparks. Sparks was its name now. She renamed it, and because every time she goes to fix something on it, it sparks. So she calls it Sparks. It was just dumb. Now he has this weird ability to where he can like teleport. I didn't get that. That made no sense. But he could teleport wherever he wants to go. That's weird. But anyways, they're the only ones who make it out. And it shows them take off from the planet as it blows up. And that's literally the end of the movie. Like, they stopped Jack Palance, but if they blew up the planet, how are they going to get their medicine? You know, it just... The ending made no sense. Like, there was no resolution. They didn't go save the fucking radioactive kids. Oh, they all have white hair except for one kid. One kid had natural brown hair. The rest of them, all white. I'm telling you, this movie made no sense. It was weird. And it was so slow. I was having a hard time not falling asleep trying to watch this movie. It was really slow. And when I seen it on a list channel where they're listing like, you know, forgotten movies of the 70s and 80s and shit like that. I saw it on one of them list channels, and I thought, well, I never heard of that. I'll check that out. I should not have watched this. It wasn't that it was, you know, terrible, but it wasn't really good, and it was just so damn slow. Oh my gosh. Unless you're a hardcore sci-fi fan, I would stay away from this film because you're going to feel like you wasted 2 hours. But if you like really slow burners, then this is the movie for you. I don't. You gotta keep me intrigued. It can be a little slow, but you have to put, some type of mystery into it or something. Keep me going. Hey, what's going to happen next? Kind of shit. I give it a thumbs up and thumbs down just because it was super slow. Anyways, that's all I have for you this week. If you have any thoughts about what I talked about earlier in the video, please leave your thoughts down in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you. I don't get to hear from any of you really once in a great while. But yeah, I'd like to hear your thoughts sometimes. Also, if you could think of any underrated or B-rated movies you think I've never even heard of, please leave your suggestions down in the comment section down below. I get to reviewing them as soon as I can. So until next time, I told you be told the truth, and you just been told.